Alright, so I am a huge looter shooter genre fan. I've experienced Destiny, Destiny 2, Warframe, the First Division, even a bit of Borderlands in there. I just love these type of games, and naturally I was going to get Division 2 and give it a shot. And I did play the beta, and I wasn't a big fan of the beta. It just felt more the same from the previous game, which isn't exactly a bad thing considering that I did like the previous game. Um, until they fucking ruined the Dark Zone with the. I mean, the Dark Zone was already like a place that was just full of groups dominating solo players. Um, but until they added in the cut rope feature, that was so frustrating. I was basically done with Dark Zone at that point. But I want to talk about my first impressions of the game. I'm currently level 9 as I'm recording this, and this is just gameplay in the background. I'm not sure what level I am here, but um, yeah. So I'm level 9 in the game right now. I have a good amount of skills unlocked, and I have, let's see, what you play 5 hours and 55 minutes put into the game. So I think I have a decent amount to get first impressions on the game. And so far, I'm really liking it. It has the most content and the most variety of content that I've experienced in the launch of a looter shooter, and just thank fuck, dude, because Anthem sucked balls, of course. I liked it, at first, but then it just kind of just went to shit. It got really boring, and it just felt way too repetitive for me. That's coming from somebody who loves Destiny, right? And that game's repetitive as shit. Um, so that really says something. But this game, there's already a ton of stuff to do. One of my favorite things is just going out in the open world and coming across loot and the control points and the propaganda stuff and the public executions, just the little public events that are really fun. Unfortunately, you can't have any other agents in the world. You can go to a safe house and matchmake if you would like. But at the same time, it would be nice to just have agents in the world or something like that. I know they have that in Dark Zone, but it is what it is, I guess. And you go around and just get loot, and that's a huge part of the game. Of course, the looter shooter. And this game is probably the best loot um, that I've seen since Borderlands 2. Honestly, I'm gonna piss a little bit of people off here, but I was not the biggest fan of Borderlands 2. I love the guns and everything. I love the skill trees and stuff like that, and the badass ranks, but I didn't like the gunplay. And the gunplay is probably one of the most main things about the game. So I just never really played very much of it because I didn't like the gunplay. And one thing that I loved about Borderlands is that it just showered you with loot, right? Because there's so much different roles and so much different guns to the point where if you make it too slow of a progression, too slow to get Destiny 2, then it just feels unrewarding and you feel like your time being put into the game doesn't matter and just isn't worth it in the long run, which is a big problem I have with other looter shooter games. And something I love about Diablo 3, Borderlands 2, and now this game is that there's loot everywhere. There is now a purpose to go out into the open world because there's so much fucking loot. There's so much loot. From killing enemies to going into supply rooms that they're taking a control point, or just exploring the open world and finding hidden areas that have loot and stuff like that. Um, and doing the different activities, um, the public activities where you have the public execution and the propaganda stuff. They usually give you like a key to go open a crate, and boom, you get one or two pieces of loot there. There is just so much fucking loot in this game. They shower you with it, and I love that. Now, I remember saying this on the Destiny forums once, and some guy was like, "Oh, you just want handouts." And this was incredibly stupid because having a game being as rewarding as this game is not being a fucking handout because there's so much different guns, so much rolls and stuff like that that a lot of them are kind of bad rolls to the point where you have to have increased drop rate or you're just not going to feel like your time is worth it, right? As I said before. Now, a big contingency, I think that's the word for it, I have a kind of a problem with in this game. And I know some people, um, you know, this is going to sound really weird, but just give me a second. Now, I don't think Ubisoft would do this. This is more of an Activision thing, but the free DLC model. Now, I know some people are going to get a little pissy about this, but from what I've seen with the other free DLC model games, they usually focus more on adding in microtransactions and cosmetic items instead of actually good content. And even when there is content, there's not a lot of content there. Am I saying the Division is going to do that? No. And I think the free DLC model is great and really pro-consumer. But I really, really hope Massive, they already gave us a good amount of content and a great launch for Looter Shooter. I hope next they can give us a roadmap and give us a lot of cool content from the free DLCs and stuff like that. And I have faith they will do that. Um, and, obviously, if you watch my Apex videos, you're going to come and say, there's loot boxes in this game. And yes, there are. Am I a big fan of loot boxes? Fuck no. But in this situation, I am sort of okay with it because it seems like you could buy everything directly in the store for the premium credits. It seems like you could do that. I could be wrong, but you could buy a shitload of stuff, direct purchases. Where Apex Legends, you can't buy any direct cosmetics, basically. There is little to no direct cosmetics you could buy in the store. Obviously, they have like the Battle Pass now. I haven't really looked at that. And I've heard some people saying that's disappointing. Um, but I just wanted to clear that up. There's so much shit you could buy, stuff like that, and just direct purchases. I love that system. And I feel like I would not mind dropping 10, 20 bucks on this game, supporting the developers, because this game has been so much fun. And I think, when I get to endgame, from my knowledge, the endgame is very fun as well. There's just whole new opportunities in the endgame. And speaking of the endgame, one thing I love about this game is the early leveling experience. That is just so much fucking fun. Um, a lot of MMO games make me feel like I need to rush to level 30 because that's where the quote unquote real game begins, right? Because they do that with like World of Warcraft, Destiny, Destiny 2, stuff like that. And, because that's where the real end game happens. Not level 30, but max level. In this game, and, even the Division 1 made me feel like that. But this game, no. I'm having tons of fun with this. I'm taking it at my own pace. And this is something completely unheard of because I usually rush through every game to get the end game. But once I discovered how fun this game is, I'm just taking my time. I don't feel like I need to get to the end game immediately because this is already incredibly amounts of fun. I love going through and doing all this stuff, doing the side missions, doing the main missions, helping out people, the settlements and all that. I just love doing those. And, and these guys one-shot me for some reason in this area. I don't know why. Um, but, I'm just having a lot of fun doing that. And it's just nice to finally have a game like that. One thing I'm not a big fan of is the level locked zones. I've never liked this system. I think it's really, really bad. But, it's okay here. And what I mean by level lock zones is that there's some zones in the game where actually all the zones have a level requirement or actually level recommended, from 17 to 20 or whatever. For an example, this is something I don't like in video games. I prefer scaling. I like everything to scale with you. Like in Elder Scrolls Online, you can go wherever the fuck you want, and they all scale with your level. And it's so nice to see that in games. But it is what it is. That's forgivable. With all the different stuff in this game, that is forgivable. Um, so yeah. And in terms of any other negatives I would give, um, the SMGs, I guess, have really, really, at least like the Vector, has a absurdly low magazine size by default, 20 rounds. Um, for mine, I don't think I've gotten any weapon mods so far, within my 6 hours of play practically, which is a little frustrating because I'd like to get extended mags for the Vector. Um, Man, is there anything else? The skills feel very weak, and this is a big problem I have. At least right now, the skills feel incredibly weak, and I feel like the cooldown is way too long on them. I mean, it's seriously like 2 fucking minute cooldown for the drone. Seriously, but I think they are addressing this, and I do hope they make the skills more powerful. And I heard somewhere that the skill power builds are not really worth going for. And this is frustrating because I love the skills in Division 1. They were super nice. They were actually really good. And it's just really frustrating to see that that's, actually like a big, problem I have with the game. But even then, the game is still a lot of fun, and I'm pretty sure that they're going to address this. Um, and I mean, do I really have anything else to go over? Um, I love the open world design of everything, the overgrown nature of it. I do prefer it over New York, personally. And I'm playing on high settings, not ultra high, but high settings on my PC here. Fun fact, I actually just got a 144 hertz G-Sync monitor today, so this is my first gameplay on it. And man, it felt so fucking good compared to my 60 hertz. It felt so amazing. So, um, yeah, so I think that's probably about it. A lot of positives. Almost all the negatives are forgivable in my opinion. I don't think the skill power is forgivable. I think they need to increase the skill, um, the damage of the skills and stuff like that. And I also just hate how much manually control stuff there is. I think that's so boring and horrible. And I know they want to add in more manual kind of things, like you're controlling the items and stuff like that, but do you have to have this much? I mean, you have the bombardier or whatever, you have the sniper turret, all sorts of weird shit that you have to manually control that I just don't like at all. I feel like they should have the sniper turret and stuff like that just shoot at enemies, without you having to worry about selecting enemies and stuff like that. I find it very, very annoying. But hopefully they'll change that at some point. Um, and yeah, there's really the only skill that I really, really like is the chem launcher. I have that for healing. I'm a big fan of that one. Just place it down real quick, 3 stacks, 18-second cooldown, and heals you a good amount for your armor, and it's just nice. I also love you can carry 6 armor kits, and there's tons of perks. And then when you go into like the restocks, there's a perk where you can restock all of your armor kits. It's super nice. And anyway, yeah, so I'm definitely gonna make a review on this game. And can I just go out and mention people are talking about bullet sponginess in this game, which they have reduced from the first game. But can I just say this is a stat-based RPG. Of course, there's bullet sponges, right? Because you're under geared, you don't have good gear. You need to have good gear because it's a stat-based RPG. I don't know. I always got annoyed at that for the bullet sponge argument in Division 1. It was actually really bad, though, in my opinion, until I think it was 1.3 when they fixed that. And it just became like, okay, this is nice. So my stats feel like they matter now. But, it's just super nice here. I don't really know how I feel about the armor system on the high-end enemies and stuff like that. But I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so I love this game, really, really enjoying it so far. I would highly recommend you go buy it or at least watch SkillUp's review of The Division 2. Especially if you're into these type of games, this is going to be a fucking wet dream. This game is so much fun. And, yeah, peace.